Dear students, get ready for the passage relating to shorthand. Start.
It is true that our educational institutions are fulfilling to a certain extent the first objective of education. The alumni of these institutions are no doubt being acquainted with some part of the accumulated wisdom of the past generations, but the purpose for which such acquaintance is undertaken, that is to say, to awaken and strengthen and make more capable the individual mind, is not being fulfilled. Our young men and women of the rising generation are not found to be savvy of thought. It is true that from these institutions come out now and then some rare individuals whose mind is full alert, awakened, and quite forceful. But I feel that it would not be proper to say, in the name of these few and rare individuals, that our present educational institutions are illumining the heart of man. In my view, there are several reasons for failure in this direction. I may mention here some of the most important. Firstly, a great part of the accumulated knowledge or experience of the past generations with which our young people are being acquainted in these educational institutions has absolutely no relation or relevance to the daily life of these young people or to the world around them or to their collective life. Naturally, this heritage of the past appears to these young people somewhat unmeaningful, useless, and unassimilable. It therefore remains a mere burden on their mind, and they forget all about it soon after leaving these institutions. Another reason appears to be that the linguistic medium through which they are acquainted with this accumulated experience of the past is not an element of their daily and collective life. It remains more or less unfamiliar to them in spite of their making all efforts to master it. It is therefore quite natural that this heritage of ideas, instead of being a torch to light the lamp of their mind, has become a sort of absorbent which soaks up even the oil of that lamp. Whereas this heritage of the past should have been a lever increasing a thousandfold the capacity of the individual mind, it is in fact a sort of growing sore, rendering the latter quite impotent and ineffective. But the story does not end here. Our educational institutions are doing almost nothing to realize the other important objective of education. Our students earn hardly for themselves after education. Even this is not all. Finding their labor for years to be quite useless and fruitless for their own life, many of our youths are becoming victims of blind discontent and anger. They are not able to see a way out. Moreover, they are not even able to acquire a good acquaintance of the heritage of the past with which these institutions seek to familiarize them. In my view, one of the reasons for the fall in the standards of education of which there is a general complaint today, is that our youths do not benefit at all from the education which is being now imparted in our educational institutions. Para. This position has not only corroded our individual life but is also now spreading into our collective life. Our present educational system does not concern itself at all with implanting the essential qualities for a collective life amongst our new generation. So, if in this situation our new generation remains devoid of the qualities essential for collective life, there should be no reason for surprise. Indeed, it appears to me that our present educational system does not at all seem to concern itself with the development of those qualities in our youth which are essential for a good collective life. Para. Our present educational system is thus as unbalanced and ill-formed as would appear to be a man with a protruding body and skinny feet and legs. Whatever may be the reason for this, the entire effort of our present day educational institution seems to be merely to acquaint the students with a very limited aspect of knowledge and not at all to make them skillful at work or good social beings. I therefore believe that amongst other efforts necessary in this system, it is also necessary to establish a balance in its objectives. Para. We in this country must decide as to how many scholars and skilled workers we require for our country. It is quite evident that for every age and for every country, both scholars and workers are necessary. But in the circumstances in which our country is placed, today we are in need of a larger number of skilled workers as compared to more scholars. We have to expand our economic production as early as possible so as to meet the needs of the millions of our countrymen. I may also add that amongst the conditions that have to be fulfilled for expanding production are a fairly good standard of health of our people and familiarity with modern economic and industrial organization and process. We have to work right now to realize these three objectives as mentioned earlier.